Good evening, brothers and sisters. Tonight marks the third day of the broadcast by TDS Petaling Jaya, Canggu Dharma Society Petaling Jaya. We have on tonight the Very Venerable KHENPO CHONYI RANGDROL, Abbot of Tara Abe Nannari. Tonight's topics, of course, for the next 15 days will be on the Jewel Ornament of Liberation by GAMPOPA, which is a continuation, rather, of teaching by KHENPO David Chopel last night. I shall now leave you to the hands of KHENPO CHONYI, who will give a very detailed teaching on the Jewel Ornament of Liberation, which will take us up to Wesak night itself. Venerable KHENPO CHONYI, Tasidele, and welcome to the show. I will now leave the camera to you, KHENPO CHONYI. Thank you.
Tasidele, dear Dharma brothers and sisters, I'm very happy to be able to participate in this dharmic teaching on the very auspicious month of Wesak Day, organized by Canggu Dharma Society Petaling Jaya. And I would like to thank Venerable Lama Lode Thai, President, and all the committee members of Canggu Dharma Society for organizing such an event for the benefit of all Sangha members. And first of all, I hope and I pray that all of you who are watching this teaching alive are keeping happy and healthy, protecting yourself from this pandemic and applying all the guidelines of WHO in order to save yourself and others, in order to protect yourself and others from this pandemic. And since we are staying in this very interesting time, something that we have never imagined in our life that we'll be witnessing such a thing, but yet it did. And I remember the very perfect words of the Buddha, his instructions, his enlightened instructions of impermanence nature. Nothing lasts forever, nothing remains as it is. Everything changes according to its cause and conditions. And because of that, everything is very possible. Having said that, in all the situation, there are two things that we can look from two different perspectives, from two different angles. Obviously, this pandemic is not very pleasant situation or moment for us, but yet, if you look from the different point of view, it has given us an opportunity to really concentrate ourselves, look internally, and by staying indoor, you can complete or accomplish so many tasks that has been delaying for so many years because of involvement in the external importances. But with this pandemic, we are being able to accomplish so many tasks that we have been delaying because of different reasons. And indoor activities such as simply helping your parents, guiding your children, teaching them how to cook meals, laundry and dishwashers, as simple as it is. And also it has given us an opportunity to sit back, relax, and talk to each other, have some kind of family plan for the future, family discussions, or even like just reorganizing your shan tables, office tables, cupboards, and so on and so forth. So in this way, it is very useful. And the other type of activity that we can be doing during this lockdown is to focus on our spiritual path, our spiritual practice. Yes, we have been so fortunate to be able to listen the teachings of the Dharma Buddha. We have met so many great masters of different schools and lineages. We have received so many teachings and empowerments, instructions, but yet we delayed on accomplishing those commitments. And this is the perfect time. It has given us a golden opportunity to accomplish those tasks. It can be simply as recitations of mantras of different deities that you have obtained empowerment of. It can simply be accomplishing of your mantra practices such as prostration and so forth, mandala offering and so forth. And those of you who are on the process of accomplishing and have not completed yet, this is again another golden opportunity to complete them. So many of my friends here in Nepal during this pandemic lockdown time, they are utilizing this time for their internal practice. Some of my friend has been doing frustrations. Some of my friend has already recited or read all the larger versions of Prashnaparamita, which consists of 12 big volume texts. So something like this, which is very, very fortunate to be able to spend time on those things in order to enlighten and in order to kind of expand our practice, enrich our practice. Therefore, we'll be able to kind of develop internal strength and practice. And by this pandemic and the guidelines of WHO, it has helped me a lot with my mindfulness practice and awareness. Things like simple as like washing your hands frequently after touching different things. So you have to be mindful and you have to be aware what you touch. And right after that, you wash your hand, sanitize your hand, and so on and so forth. Likewise, what things you can touch, what things you need to be wary of touching, and all this are another way of practicing of your mindfulness, which in fact is very good. And another real life lesson from this pandemic is that we have heard lots of teachings from the Buddha, but we did not pay so much attention on in our daily life, daily basis. But because of this, we now can value how others are important to us, how one individual can affect so many other beings. And by that, we can recall the precious teachings of the Buddha of interdependence nature. We have to depend upon each other. Everything depends upon each other. And most importantly, the impermanence nature of phenomena. So this is a very wonderful teaching that we can apply upon our daily life. So instead of being discouraged, disappointed, and frustrated or exhausted, staying in, there are many different things you can do. You can operate many things by remaining indoors, by applying the guidelines of WHO. So that is very, very important, and I want to encourage all of you. I'm sure you have been doing this, but still, there's still more time to go. So we can be optimistic and hope for the better. And there are I saw some posts on Facebook a few days ago saying that our earth is renovating. There will be grand ceremony soon, grand opening ceremony soon. So this kind of thing is very positive, optimistic and positive message. So we keep good hope, and yet once everything goes back to normal, then when everything opens up, then at that time you will not regret you are staying indoor, because you can then say, oh, during this lockdown time, I've accomplished my 100,000 prostrations or 100,000 recitations of mantras, or my meditation practice, or just simply studying tags, or it can be worldly activities such as family planning and helping your parents and so on and so forth. These are wonderful things that we can do. Yeah, so having said that, this kind of live teaching organized by Tango Center is another way of utilizing the lockdown in a positive manner, in a positive way. And especially this month is a very auspicious month of remembering Buddha's kindness and compassion, Buddha's teachings that has lead so many beings to enlightenment. So we have to grab this opportunity and be at the end of this pandemic, we'll be rejoicing ourselves. We'll be feeling kind of joyfulness for ourselves that we have been able to implement this lockdown time in a very positive and dharmic way. So stay happy, stay healthy, and be positive. Okay, then the topic that I'm going to share here is the instructions by Lord GAMPOPA, his word of wisdoms in this text called Jewel Ornament of Liberation, which consists of 6 main topics, and that includes 21 chapters. So we'll be going these teachings one by one at a time for the next 2 weeks. Usually when center organize teachings and retreats, we have to look from different point of view, different angle, that it has to fall on weekends or longer holidays, so that every people can make their time for teachings and practice. But now, since nature has given us an opportunity to stay in, so this is a perfect time. That is why I chose this topic, because this text is considered as one of the main subject that we need to study according to as being a follower of Kagyupa. Because this teaching consists of Kadampa teaching as well as Mahamudra teaching, because the lineage of this teaching comes from Milarepa and Adisha. So therefore, we are going to share this, I'm going to share this Dharma talk with you. And the teaching here is in a very traditional monastic way. So it will be a little different from earlier teaching in the center, but we will be like focusing, as my friend KHENPO Kamachebel mentioned 2 days ago, that we have these are the very monastic way of presentation here. So what I'm doing is, I have a text here in front of me. I'll be reading the paragraph, and then we try to understand the meaning together. Okay. So having said that, before we do any practice of the Dharma, whether it is to listen the teachings of the Dharma or contemplate the meaning of the Dharma or really put them into practice in a daily basis, what we need to do is we need to have 3 complete sets. And the first is taking refuge, going for refuge prayer and generating bodhichitta. Second part is the actual main teaching. And then finally, dedicating the good merits for the well-being of all sentient beings. So before I begin, I'll recite refuge prayers in Tibetan and generations of bodhicitta in Tibetan. So while I do so, if you can recite together, that's wonderful. If you cannot, you can just imagine that you are taking refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha and giving rise to bodhicitta, a compassionate heart for the benefit of all sentient beings. Sangye Jodan Soge Jonam La Jangjo Bardo Dane Gyapson Che Dagi Jinso Gebe Sonam Ge Dola Benjir Sangye Dobarasho Sangye Jodan Soge Jonam La Jangjo Bardo Dane Gyapson Che Dagi Jinso Gebe Sonam Ge Dola Benjir Sangye Dobarasho Sangye Jodan Soge Jonam La Jangjo Bardo Dane Gyapson Che Dagi Jinso Gebe Sonam Ge Dola Benje Sange Do Barai Sho Semjen Tamjen Dewa Dan Dewen Gyudan Dembara Gyurj Dunga Dan Dunga Gen Gyudan Jawa Gyurjen Dunga Meben Dewa Damba Dan Jawa Gyurje Niren Jada Nidan Draven Danyam Jembola Nebara Gyurje Semjen Damjen Dewa Dan Dewen Gyudan Dembara Gyurje Dunga Dan Dunga Gen Gyudan Jawa Gyurje Dunga Meben Dewa Damba Dan Jawa Gyurje Niren Jada Nidan Draven Danyam Jembola Nebara Gyurje Semjen Damjen Dewa Dan Dewen Gyudan Dembara Gyurje Dunga Dan Dunga Gen Gyudan Jawa Gyurje Dungai meben de wan dam ba dam mi dra wa gyo je ngi ren cha da ni dan zhe ve da nyong chen bo la ne ba gyo je wong men che ge yin ge bo zhang na de sam sang ge gon ge ngo ni rang sim che gu rong sum den ze ba za ve la men sha la gun cha. So that completes the first part of teaching. And the second part is the actual main teaching. So for this, I would like to request you all stay relaxedly wherever you are, be comfortable. And the main important thing is generate bodhichitta, as KHENPO Kamachebe mentioned you a few days back. So this is very important in Mahayana tradition of Buddhism, that whatever we do, we have to think that we are doing this for the benefit of all sentient beings. And all sentient beings are important to you is because we live in an interdependent nature. And because of them, we are being benefited. And because of that, we need to benefit them as well. So because of that reason, we need to think of others while we do any kind of dharma practice. So our very goal should be the benefit of all sentient beings. So having said that, try to contemplate on bodhicitta, and most importantly, again, when you listen to the dharma, try to enjoy it yourself. You know, when you are joyful from within, and when you listen to dharma, and that's very good. That's the best effort or diligence according to Shantideva. When if you are not interested or if you are not joyful, then it is kind of burden, and then that way you will fall asleep, or your mind will go outwardly. So that is the reason why we need to encourage ourselves and be joyful. So while listening to the Dharma, feel that I'm very fortunate be able to listen to the Dharma, also wisdom, in this case from the Lord GAMPOPA. And our forefathers of Kagyu traditional, Marba, the translator, Melareba, the great yogi, and GAMPOPA, the great teacher of monastic. These three has shown us different way of lifestyle. These three have completely different way of lifestyle, but yet they all accomplish Buddhahood. And why is that? It's because through the practice of the Dharma. So it doesn't matter where you are and what lifestyle you have. The more it matters is the practice of the Dharma. If you practice the Dharma, you'll be able to liberate yourself from the suffering of samsara, and you'll be able to reach enlightenment. So this is the main point here. And likewise, as I mentioned earlier, Marva has a completely different lifestyle. He has a wife, children, farm to take care of, business to take care of. But because of the practice of the Dharma, he was able to enlighten himself. And the second example is Lord Yogi, the great Yogi Milarepa. He renounced samsara. He left everything behind and he went to isolation, wandering one mountain to others. But yet, with his simplicity of life, with the teachings of the Buddha and the practice that he put onto it, the effort that he put onto it has been able to give him the full realizations of nirvana or complete enlightenment. Likewise, third is the Lord GAMPOPA, who again has a very different lifestyle, but yet because he practiced the Dharma, he was able to liberate himself from the suffering of samsara. So it doesn't matter what kind of lifestyle you have. What it really matters is the practice of the Dharma. So how to practice the Dharma then? First, you have to listen the Dharma. That's called hearing the Dharma. Secondly, you have to contemplate on the meaning of the Dharma that you have listened to, whether that Dharma really makes sense to you or not. You don't simply follow the Dharma by simply having a faith. Having faith is good, but then you need to be intellectual. You need to examine thoroughly all the points, all the reasons that has mentioned in the Dharma, whether those make sense in your daily life or not. And then finally, if that does, then implement those instructions into our day-to-day life. And this is how you process, this is how you can transform, and this is how you can bring yourself into nirvana. Otherwise, if you just listen to the Dharma and not implement those in your daily basis, then you are differentiating the Dharma and your daily life as a two different aspects of your life. You're isolating from your Dharma in your daily life. That is not good. What you need to do is we need to apply the Dharma into our daily life, and this is how we progress. So here, today, we are going to study the Dharma, the word of wisdom by GAMPOPA in his jewel Ornament of Liberation. So the manner how we are going to present, how I'm going to present this is, first I'll read the paragraphs and then we'll try to understand the meaning together. Okay? So the Lord GAMPOPA began these teachings by paying homage to Lord Manjushri, and then followed by Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, the three jewels, and then to his gurus. So I'll read this homage first, and then we'll try to figure out the meaning of this. Homage. I prostrate to the noble Manjushri in youthful form. I pay homage to the victorious one, their followers, the holy Dharma, and to the lamas who are their foundation. This noble teaching, which is like the wish-fulfilling jewel, will be written for the benefit of myself and others by depending on the kindness of Milarepa and Lord Adisha. So this homage, he's paying homage to Manjushri first, and in a very youthful form. So whenever we practice Manjushri, we always imagine Manjushri as a very youthful form of 16 years old. And Manjushri here, why he pray to Manjushri or pay homage to Manjushri is because Manjushri is the representation of the Buddha's wisdom. So Manjushri is the wisdom deity. So in order to write something or compose Dharma, first of all we need to have wisdom. And for that, in order to get blessing of the wisdom deity, Manjushri is the perfect deity. Then followed by he pays homage to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. But in here, in the manner, the sequence is first the Buddha, then the Sangha, and the Dharma. And here, he did not directly said Buddha, but he said victorious ones. And in Tibetan, we have so many ways of labeling Buddha, naming Buddha from different aspects of his activity. We sometimes call Buddha victorious one because he got a victory from the defilement, and sometimes we call him most accomplished one because of his knowledge of knowing the truth nature. So here he mentioned Buddha as the victorious one, the one who got victory from the negative afflictions and emotions. Then the followers of the Buddha, which is the Sangha members. So Sangha can be bodhisattvas. And then the holy Dharma. So Dharma, which was shared by Buddha and practiced by Sangha, and that very Dharma is actually the real teacher. We usually call Buddha as our teacher or spiritual friend as our teacher, but then they are just guiding you. So the real protector here is the Dharma itself, because it is the Dharma who protects us from the suffering of samsara. If you implement the Dharma into your daily life, then you can be able to transform yourself from negativities to positiveness. So this is how the process of practicing the Dharma is. So Dharma here is also an object for refuge. Then he said, followed by to the lamas who are their foundation. Yes, in Bhajana tradition, lamas or the root guru is the very, very important figure, because it is the lama who has connected you to the Buddha's teaching, the Dharma. Because we are born after 2500 plus years back from the Buddha's time. We have no way to witness Buddha's teaching. But because of the kindness of your guru, root guru, or the guru's lamas, you are being able to connect, you are being able to link to the Buddha's teaching. And that is why in Bhajana tradition, we consider Buddha as very important figure. The guru as very important figure. Because it is the guru who brought us Buddha's teaching. That is why we consider Lama as the source of blessing. And here he mentioned the foundations of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Yes, after receiving teaching from the Lama or Guru, you'll be able, and implementing his teachings, then you'll be able to enlighten yourself. You'll be able to free yourself from the suffering of samsara. So that is why you can reach Buddhahood through Lama as a spiritual guidance. You can implement Dharma through your Guru by getting his teachings. And you will be able to attain Bodhisattva level through your Guru by listening his teachings, practicing his teachings, and implementing them into your daily life. So that's why Lamas are the foundation for being able to reach the goal of 3 jewels. And then next he says he's going to compose this teaching for the benefit of himself and all other beings. Obviously, as being the practitioner of Mahayana vehicle, as I mentioned earlier, our goal should be benefiting all sentient beings, and that's there. Obviously, you can see now the teachings that he has composed many centuries ago are still very relevant. GAMPOPA's teachings are still very relevant in this 21st century. So you can see the benefit of it. You can see all the good quality and benefit of it up to until now. And this is the benefiting of others. And I'm sure by practicing these texts, so many people had been able to attain enlightenment. So that's the benefit of others. And benefit of himself, GAMPOPA himself, is because composing such a genuine teaching like this already has a very good accumulations of very good merit. And that's very good for him too. That's why 2 benefits, benefit of others and benefit of himself here. And then he says he did not write this teaching just from his capacity. He's very kind. He wants to recall the kindness of his gurus, Lord Melareba and Lord Adisha. And those are the 2 main teachers from whom he got teachings of Mahamudra and Kadamba tradition. That is why sometimes our lineage, Darbukagyu lineage, is also considered known as the unity of Mahamudra and Kadamba tradition teachings. Okay, then next is introduction. He wants to introduce these teachings to us in a very special way here, like very practical Q&A session, question and answering. He questions himself and then he gives answer to it, so that it will make us very easy to understand the meaning of it. Okay, so I'll read the first paragraph in introduction. In general, all phenomena are included in 2 categories of samsara and nirvana. So whatever you see, whatever you experience in this entire world, every phenomena can be categorized into 2 aspects, samsara and nirvana. So where are we now? In samsara of the existence, the 6 realms. And within the 6 realms, we are now in the human realm. So we are still in samsara. So what is our goal then? Our goal is to reach enlightenment or nirvana, which is the liberation from suffering of samsara, the happiness. So he says two categories here. And he followed by saying, then what is samsara then? We need to understand what is samsara. He said that which is called samsara is empty by nature. Actually, samsara is also empty by nature. But we do not know this. That is why we are deluded. Because of our ignorance, not knowing the true nature of samsara, and we create karma. And because of the creations of the karma, we experience sufferings. That is why it is called samsara. The first thing here, the nature of samsara is emptiness. And second is, samsara is the confused projection. We are confused to its reality of true nature. And because of that, we create karma, as I mentioned earlier, and then it's all the projections of our confused state of mind. And that's why all this mess happens without knowing the true nature. We think everything is solid, existent nature, entity. That's why we think we need to have that. We need to grab this. We need to have attachment to these things. And when you are really attached to something, then if there's obscurations from different people, different situations, then you get rise to anger, jealousy, hatred. So all this sort of kind of unwholesome thinking will take place. So therefore, it's a confused projection. And the definition characteristic of samsara, he says here, is defining characteristic is that it manifests as suffering. Yes, obviously, not knowing the true nature with your ignorance, then you create karma, and because of creation of the karma, obviously you will experience its consequences as a result. Therefore, samsara is the confused projection and it manifests as suffering. Okay, this is samsara. Then what is nirvana then? Nirvana, he says here, that which is called nirvana is also empty by nature. Yes, very true. Nirvana is also empty by nature. Nirvana is not something, another existent entity. No, it is also empty by nature. But the difference is, the nirvana is the state of freeing confused projections. Here he says, but all the confused projections are exhausted and dissipated. So in nirvana, you don't have any confusion because you really know the true nature of things. So therefore, your ignorance is dissipated. So you know the true nature of things. So we'll talk this more about in the next advanced chapter. So just for the beginning, we should understand that nirvana itself is empty by nature and it is free from confused projections. And its defining characteristic of nirvana is freedom from sufferings. So there's no suffering at all. It's all happiness. So obviously, in general speaking, we as individual, we want to have happiness, and no one ever wants to have suffering. So therefore, what our goal should be? Our goal should be attainment of nirvana and freeing us from the suffering of samsara. And how to do this? There's instructions coming up in the next few chapters. Okay, then his unique way of Q&A session begins here. Then he asks himself, who is it that is confused in samsara? Who is confused in samsara? Then he says, he gives answer, all sentient beings of the three realms are confused. So all sentient beings in three worlds, three realms. Here, three realms, we usually hear six realms, right? But this here, three realms means the greater world, greater three worlds, or three spheres, or three existence. In Sanskrit, it's called Trilokya. And the general term for this in Sanskrit is, first one is Kamadhatu, Second one is Rupa Dhatu, and third one is Arupa Dhatu. In English, Kama Dhatu is translated as desire realm. Then Rupa Dhatu is the God realm of form, with form, and Arupa Dhatu is another God realm without form, without physical forms. So these are the three greater worlds. So every sentient beings who are within these three greater worlds are actually confused from the true nature, ultimate nature or ultimate truth. Followed by he asks another question: on what basis does confusion arise then? And he says, he gives answer. Confusion arises on the basis of emptiness. Yes. We don't know the true nature as emptiness, and because of that basis, not knowing the true nature as emptiness, then confusion arises. There's no two different thing actually. There's only one. If you know the true nature, there's nirvana. If you don't know that true nature, then you suffer. So there's no two entity. It's just one. When you know the nature, true nature, there's wisdom or there's nirvana. When you do not know the true nature, there's samsara. So the base confusion arises on the basis of emptiness. Another question: what causes confusion to arise? And the answer is, confusion arises on the basis of confusion. I missed that part. What causes confusion to arise? The answer is, the cause for confusion is great ignorance. Yes, because not knowing the true nature is great ignorance, and that causes us confusion. And next Q&A session, he says, how does this confusion operate? In samsara, how does this confusion operates then? It operates through the activities and experiences of the 6 realms of migrators. So, because of not knowing the true nature, because of our ignorance, we create karma, and because of our creations of karma, we experience these different realms, suffering of different realms, and that's why we are called as migrators. We don't have permanent resident actually, but when you fill a form, we say permanent resident. Okay, my permanent resident is Swambhu, Kathmandu, Nepal, but in fact, we don't have permanent resident. We go according to our creations of karma into different realms after we die. So that's why we are labeled as migrators or travelers. We travel the 6 realms of existence with creations of our karma. So next, he says, what exemplifies this confusion? What is this confusion look like? What's the simile to this? And the answer is, the confusion is like a sleep and dream. So the closest example that one can give to this confusion is like when you are dreaming, when you're sleeping, if you have a nightmare or bad dream, then in that dream, obviously, even it is confused state of mind, you still feel terrified, you still have very exhausted body and sweating. So you really feel that's really true, even though it is not. So this is the closest example of suffering or the confused state of mind. Then, when did this confusion originate? Next question is, when did this confusion originate? This confusion originated in beginningless samsara. Obviously, since we are taking birth into different existence of 6 realms, it's a kind of cycles. So you can't really say this is the beginning. It's a rotation. So therefore, it's originated from the beginningless samsara. Now what we need to do is, we need to get out from this existence of cycling of suffering. That should be our goal. And is this something that is durable? Yes. Then he followed by saying, what is the error of this confusion? What is wrong of this confusion? The answer is, the error is all experiences are suffering. Because of the ignorant, not knowing the true nature, and then we create karma, and then we experiences all the consequences. So we suffer a lot. But you may think, oh, there's a joyfulness, there's happiness in our life. Not everything is suffering. You're very true. But that suffering, that happiness has a good name by Buddha. He has labeled that happiness as a suffering of change. Yes, you remember that. It looks happiness, but it's very limited. It has an expired date. So that happiness will not last forever. And that is very cause of another suffering. And that's why it's called suffering of change. If you remember, there are 3 types of suffering. All pervading suffering, that is, once you're born, there's a guarantee you will die one day. So there's a big change will happen, will take place. That's all pervading suffering. Even though you don't really feel it, but that's there. Once it's started, it's countdown. Once you're born, your death is certain. And the second type of suffering is suffering of suffering. With this already all pervading suffering, then on top of it, like this pandemic, or any kind of disease or body age, or when things do not go according to your vision, your wish. So these are also suffering. And then the suffering of change, which seems happy for now, but it has an expiry date, and it will lead to another suffering. So therefore, every phenomena in the samsara are labeled as 3 types of suffering. And then next he says, when can this confusion be transformed into primordial wisdom? Very important. If this cannot transform into primordial wisdom, then that's very unfortunate. But no, we're very fortunate that this confusion can transform into happiness or primordial wisdom, the lasting happiness. And then another question is, when one attains unsuppressible enlightenment or perfect enlightenment, when one can attain the perfect enlightenment. So if you think that perhaps this confusion will disappear by itself, so sometimes people may think, oh, this confusion will, it can transform into primordial wisdom, but it cannot transform by itself. We need to put an effort. We need to apply all the 5 paths, the truth of path. Otherwise, just by sitting there and praying, let my confusion transform into primordial wisdom, that will never take place. So therefore, what we need to do? We need to implement the effort in order to witness that primordial wisdom. And is that doable? Very, very much so. Definitely it is doable. Many of the masters in the past has followed the same path, process of same practice, and they were able to liberate themselves from the suffering of samsara and witness the primordial wisdom. And so can we. So there's no doubt. But if you think that it will happen just like this, by naturally, then that's not the case. And GAMPOPA says here, that's not the case. No, no, no. The answer is no. Then if you think that this confusion will disappear itself, then remember that, understand that samsara is known to be endless. If you just sit there and wait samsara to end, it will never end because it's endless. Another point here, he says, understand that samsara is confusion. So if you want to sit there and wait for transformation to primordial wisdom just by doing nothing, then it can never happen because it's a state of confusion. You are not breaking the confusion. You're happy to stay under ignorance. And if you're under ignorance, there's no way that it can transform into primordial wisdom by itself. No magic. And then next point he mentions here is that understand that how much suffering is there. So even though you wait to transform yourself from the conditioned state of mind to the primordial wisdom, that will not happen because you will witness all the sufferings of your creations of your karma. So it will never let you realize that naturally. No, you need to put an effort. Again, understand that how long it endures. So in every different realms, the lifespan is different. So if you do not break that confusion state of mind, if you do not realize the true nature of things, then you are always under the control of ignorance. So therefore, you endure so long in the suffering of samsara. And understand that there is no self-liberation. So here, you have to be very careful with this sentence. You may have heard in Mahamudra teachings that self-liberation, and that's another case. That's the actualizing the true nature. That's the direct perception of your meditation state of mind. But here, what GAMPOPA meant is that there is no liberation without following the truth of path. So we need to follow the 5 paths that Buddha has shown us in his Four Noble Truth. So otherwise, it will not come as a magic, as a natural. So that's very important. So that completes all the Q&A sessions made by GAMPOPA in order to bring us a more better understanding of samsara and nirvana. Okay, the next, he says, therefore, from today onwards, you should make as much effort as possible to achieve unsurpassable enlightenment. Since our goal is to free us from suffering of samsara and to attain complete and lasting happiness or primordial wisdom, whatever you want to call it, then you need to work from today, from right now. Just don't wait and wish that it will happen naturally. This is not the case. Okay, so that's why we believe in karma, creation of. We need to put effort. You know, you're praying, you're meditating, you're understanding of the dharma, listening to the dharma, combinations of good merits. These are all karma, action, activities that you are putting on. So we need to start from beginning, start from now. And he says here, you should make such an effort as possible to achieve unsurpassable enlightenment or perfect enlightenment. So in order to do that, in order to one individual to get perfect enlightenment, what are the things that are required? There are few things that are required here. So what are those things? GAMPOPA mentions is what manner of these are needed in order to make this kind of effort. So he said that we need to put an effort, but putting effort itself is not enough. We need to have some kind of requirement. We need to complete some kind of requirement here. And that's why the presentations of this text here, it mentions there are 6 things, 6 topics that we need to understand. And the summary is the primary cause, working basis, contributory cause, method, result, and activity. All discriminating beings should understand that these 6 comprise the general explanation of unsurpassable enlightenment. So in order to attain enlightenment, you need to have 6 different things. So the first one here is the primary cause. So whether we have this primary cause to be able to attain enlightenment. So we have to test, we have to examine whether we have this primary cause with us or not. The primary cause here is the essence of the Buddha, or sometimes it is translated as Buddha nature. And Sanskrit term for that is Tathagata Garbha. So first thing is we need to have seed within us. Without seed, how much effort you put, you'll never get result. So we need to have seed first. So our seed to be able to enlighten, to be able to reach Buddhahood, is that we need to see whether we have that ability. And GAMPOPA here says, yes, we do have this. And that's the Buddha nature, the essence of Buddha, which is present in every sentient beings. So that's very good news. So we'll talk more about that primary cause tomorrow. And the second one here, he says, is the walking basis. So, okay, you have the seat, and then what is the walking base for that? So among the 6 realms of samsara, the best walking basis for this seed to bring fruition is the precious human body. So that's the second thing, second topic, precious human body, or being born as human being. Then the third thing, okay, you now have a seed, that is Tathagata Garbha or Buddha nature. You now have obtained the walking basis, that is the precious human body. And the third one is you need to have guidance. You need to have some guide. As here it says, the contributory cause. We need to have someone who can contribute us, give us instruction. And that is here, which is known as spiritual master or your guru. So that's the third one, third topic that he will be discussing in this jewel ornament of liberation. And then fourth one is the method. How can we attain enlightenment? What are the methods? What are the procedure? So the method is the instruction itself, the dharma, that is given to us by our contributory cause, which is spiritual master. And that has the biggest chapter of the instructions from our spiritual master. So that's another point here, the fourth point. Then the next one is the result. Okay, we now have a seed, we now have a walking basis, we now have the contributory cause, we now have the instructions of the dharma instructions. And by implementing that dharma, by following the path, 5 paths, then what will we be getting actually? What can we receive from that implementations of the instructions? That is the result, the Buddhahood itself. And that's another part here. Result is the perfect Buddha, or the body of perfect Buddhahood. That's the result. And finally, the 6th point. What then? What do we do after enlightenment? And that's the Buddha activity of benefiting all sentient beings. Again, remember here, that was our goal from very beginning when we gave rise to bodhichitta. We said, I will bring all sentient beings to the Buddhahood. So in order to bring them to the Buddhahood, I need to obtain Buddhahood myself. So now, once you attain enlightenment or obtain Buddhahood, then your responsibility should be benefiting all beings, showing the path to those who have not been able to break down that confusion state of mind. That's our responsibility. We need to be responsible for that. We need to stick on our commitment that we made right from very beginning by giving rise to bodhicitta. So, and that will complete the whole topic of jewel ornament of liberation. So once again, primary cause, that's Buddha nature, which is present in all sentient beings. very good news. Walking basis, precious human body. That's what we are now in. And then the contributory cause, our spiritual masters or teachers or our who are guiding us to the liberation. And then the method. Methods are the teachings or the instructions of the great masters. And then by implementing those teachings into our life, we'll be witnessing the result of the perfect Buddhahood. And then after enlightenment or attainment or enlightenment, what we do is we benefit sentient beings through different means. And that is called, the last point is called the activity. The activities are benefiting sentient beings without conceptual thoughts. So you don't differentiate people. You just, after enlightenment, you just help everyone without any conceptual thoughts. Wanting or not wanting, liking or disliking. These are never there. These are never present there. It's just continuously of Buddha's activity of benefiting all sentient beings in different ways. So these are the 6 topics which are inclusive of 21 chapters. So we'll be discussing on each chapter for the next 2 weeks, and to recall this auspicious birth of Buddha and try to implement that auspicious time for engaging in the practice of the Dharma, listening the Dharma, practicing the Dharma, and contemplating the meaning of the Dharma. So that is how GAMPOPA will present his word of wisdom in this jewel ornament of liberation. That is why this text is named as jewel ornament of liberation. So you will be able to fulfill all your wishes. If you really put effort into the practice of the Dharma, you'll be able to fulfill all your wishes. Otherwise, what happens is usually we differentiate the Dharma and our daily life as a 2 different entities. And because of that, that's actually an obscuration. Because of that, we're not being able to implement the Dharma into our day-to-day life. What we really need to do is, after listening to these instructions and contemplating to these meanings, then what we really need to do is we need to implement, put them into our practice, try to transform ourselves step by step, if not all at the same time, but step by step, one by one. Try to follow the instructions of the teaching one by one and try to implement those teachings into our day-to-day life, which then definitely brings the result. So if you are able to unity the teachings and your way of life, your daily life, then you will be much happier. You'll be more mindful. You will have more internal strength, and you can see the things from positive angle, positive perspective. And this is something that is very, very necessary. And especially in this time where people are suffering so much. So instead of blaming each other and commenting negative comments, we need to generate bodhichitta. We need to have more compassion to other beings who are suffering. As I mentioned earlier, we live in a very difficult situation, but we have to also know that each and everyone matters a lot, because we survive. Our very survival actually depends on other individuals. So we can see this very clearly now when in the lockdown time. When everything's are closed, it brings us some difficulties. Like, for example, when you have someone to do things for you and that person cannot stay with you because of lockdown, so how hard the things is. Therefore, you can really value, someone who has been helping you. Like, it can be your mate who is cooking for you, who is doing laundries for you. And those people are not with you now because of pandemic, lockdown. So you need to do all this by yourself. And while you do this, just focus and concentrate and appreciate, and value those people who are actually helping you for this so many years, and now how hard it is, so that you can appreciate. Okay, so last he says these 6 topics form the body of this text, the June Ornament of Liberation, and the explanation in detail will do this from tomorrow. So I'll stop here for today, and we need to dedicate all the good merits that we have accomplished by listening and sharing this dharma for the well-being and benefit of all sentient beings. So nam de tamje zigba ni topne nyebe danam pamje ne gega na che bala tubai sebe tsole dowa rai sho.
Thank you very much to Venerable KHENPO CHONYI RANGDROL, the Abbot of Tara Abe Nannari Kathmandu. The teachings was so profound, yet make so simple to understand. It is very timely, practical, and relevant to our circumstances now to remind us of the situation that we are facing. And it is very relevant, especially in these days and age. So therefore, a very timely and important reminder to our existence and our most important of all, survival and practice. We have now the Venerable Lama Lodro, Resident Lama of Canggu Dharma Society, Petaling Jaya, who will continue with the talks, or rather continue with the prayers to quell the pandemic. Shall we all now join Lama Lodro in the prayers to quell this pandemic as soon as possible that the world is facing at the moment? Thank you very much, brothers and sisters.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much, very venerable KHENPO CHONYI RANGDROL, giving us, enlightening us your precious teachings. Now we continue to some meditation and prayers. First, we do taking refuge and generating bodhichitta. Therefore, you visualize in front of you in the sky, there your Guru, and surrounded by Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, Lama, Yidam protectors. You visualize they are real in front of you. Then you take refuge and generate bodhichitta. Then we repeat this prayer 3 times. Sanje chedan soge jonan la janjo barado dane japsoin dage jenso jipe zanangi dolai benje sanje to baraijo sanje chedan soge jonan la John Chua Barado Dane Jabsoji Dage Jinsoji Biazanangi Dola Pinche Sanje To Bararisho Sende Tamji Dewa Dante Vijo Dante Churoroji Now we do meditation. That meditation called giving and taking meditation. We call it Tonglen. And also we call it meditation on bodhichitta. Now we imagine that this meditation apply with your breathing. When you breathe in, then that time you imagine that all the mother sentient beings, they are sufferings. They are right now, there are sufferings, fears, a lot of difficulties. You imagine when breathe in, then you take all that they are sufferings and cause of the suffering is there are three poisons: ignorance, hatred, and attachments. They all come out from their body, form of black color smoke. They will breathe in together. They imagine they are free from the suffering. Then when breathe out, when we breathe out, you imagine that whatever you have virtues or merits, they all come out with your breathing. It's form of a white color smoke. Then they all go out and dissolve into all the sentient beings. They imagine they are free from the suffering and cause of the suffering. Then they all have happiness and the cause of a happiness. Cause of a happiness is love and compassion. Do this meditation for 5 minutes. Okay, now we recite some mantras. In reciting the mantras, your mind is concentrated, faith and devotion to the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, Lama, Yidam, protectors, and love and compassion to all the mother sentient beings. Mani be me hum. Om Namo Bhagavate Aparimita Ayujana Sudhine Citate Zorazaya Tata Gataya Arahate Samya Sambuddhaya Deyata Om Pune Pune Maha Pune Aparimita Pune Aparimita Pune Jana Sambhara Pachite Om Sarava Sankara Parishuddhi Dharamate Gagana Samongate Sobhavai Vishuddhi Mahanaya Parivari Sohai. We are repeating, reciting 7 times. Now second. Om Namo Bhagavate Now medicine Buddhasa mantra. Om Namo Bhagavate Bekhanse Guru Bendraya Prabharajaya Tathagataya Arahate Samya Sambuddhaya Te Yata Om Bekhanse Bekhanse Mahabekhanse Raja Samungate Soha. Repeat 7 times. Om Namo Bhagavate Bekhanse Guru Bendraya Daba Rajaya Tathagataya Arahate Samya Sambuddhaya Te soha Om Namo Bhagavate Ekanje Guru Bindroya Prabharajaya Tathagataya Arahate Samya Sambuddhaya Teyata Ambekaje Bekanje Mahabekanje Raja Samongate Soha Om Namo Bhagavate Bekanje Guru Bedroya Prabharajaya Tathagata Arahate Samya Sambuddhaya Teyata Ambekaje Bekaje Mahabekaje Raja Samongate Soha 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 Om Pishache Pranashavari Saravazora Prashamani Soha Om Pishache Pranashavari Saravazora Prashamani Soha Om Pishache Pranashavari Saravazora Raja Prashamani Sowa Om Pishache Paranashavari Sararvajola Prashamani Sowa Om Pishache Paranashavari Sararvajola Prashamani Sowa Om Pishache Paranashavari Sararvajola Prashamani Soha Nama Chenda Benza Kroda Holo Holo Tita Tita Banda Banda Hana Hana Ambrike Humbe Nama Chendra Benza Kroda Holo Holo Tita Tita Banda Banda Hana Hana Ambrike Humbe Nama Chendra Toda Holo Holo Tita Tita Benda Benda Hana Hana Ambrike Humbe Nama Chendra Benza Kroda Holo Holo Tita Tita Benda Benda Hana Hana Ambrike Humbe Nama Chendra Benza Kroda Holo Holo Tita Tita Benda Benda Hana Hana Ambrike Humbe Nama Chendra Benza Kroda Holo Holo Tita Tita Benda Benda Hana Hana Ambrike Humbe Om Guru Maha Brahmana Ye Bodhi Bodhi Bimale Utu Mato Taumbe Om Guru Maha Brahmana Ye Bodhi Bodhi Bimale Utu Mato Taumbe Om Guru Maha Brahmanaye Purute Purute Bhimale Utuma Toda Humbe Om Puru Maha Brahmanaye Purute Purute Bhimale Utuma Toda Humbe Om Puru Maha Brahmanaye Bodhi Bodhi Bimale Utuma Kroda Humbe Om Brum Maha Brahmana Ye Bodhi Bodhi Bimale Utama Kroda Humbe Om Maha Brahmana Ye Bodhi Bodhi Bimale Utuma Kroda Hoinde Hoinde She Sheba Amalai Jije Dang Jan Choy Senba Jimbo Judo Me Joy Doi Je Ten Lai Den Doi Nere Male She Juro Deya Tai Amai Bekanje Maha Bekanje Raja Samunga Te Soga Deya Tai Amai Bekanje Bukanje Maha Bekanje Ranja Samanga Te Soha Deyata Om Bekanje Maha Bekanje Raja Samanga Te Soha Deyata Bekanje Samanga Te Soha Raja Samanga Te Soha Senje Neba Jineba Nyato Nele Dajuro Dove Nene Amaleba Tato Jova can le jurba ye den dan le jumbo se wa so senje ye me de ne namange jigde kam so jungwa man juro ji je tara je me je be se ja je ki je la le se me je so cho ne ge dong la je ni ba ji de kam so jong wa ra ma ju ji le se me de wa ya ma le to je be chung xie tu be dong la ji ni ba ma le xie xie dang de ba den ba dang ce re ne me de je den ba ra shu la ma guan zhou sum ji du ji dang kan du ju zhong song me nu du dang de blen de lo wa mi bi din du ge ngo wa ma la ta zhe du ba ra ma ho ma zra sang ye na wa ta ye da ye so jo ye tu je chen bo dang yan do sen ba tu je tu na la sang je jang se ba me ko je ko te che mo zra pa tu me pa ye de wa je je ja ve shin gan de ta ne de ne se ve ju ma ta ke wa shin je bra ma she ba de ra je ne na de she dong sho de ge da ge ma la ma ta ba ti so cho san je jang sen tam ji ge ge me do pra jing ge la to so te ya ta ye pen dra je ya a wa ye bo da na ye so cho de je wa se je gong CHONYI zo lai je ran da ge ju san ge sa ba kun jo san la che ba bo jara ge ten ba pe ju chen ge wa sen je ke la mo do ge san je do ju je ge sa tam je de da ge je la min ju je de nian da ne so so de ce re ne me nyam do be ce de sa jo nan jo ji nam she se be ju ma ta de wa chin do ji ju ro ji je ne pe me ka je de li de de la san ji shu chang cho ba to ne ji se do tu be do wa de bra re shu Senai de ye tai jian se bai ne tom ne ye be dai na mai ban je ne ke ga na je ba la ro ba ye se be so le do Thank you. See you tomorrow.